Hi and welcome to Jothishi.com. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic where we're going to analyze some charts of a few celebrities who have fans, where we can call them crazy, right? Like for example, when Rajkumar was kidnapped in Bangalore, the city went into shutdown mode for 108 days. People were burning tires, right? Like, and the entire city was like at a standstill. So we will see how astrology contributes to this, and Anand will take a few charts today and give some examples on this. So Anand, what would you like to say about this?
Yes. So in Vedic astrology, we can look at charts from different perspectives, right? So we can look at a chart from the perspective of Lagna, which is you. We can look at a chart from the perspective of the moon, which is your mind. So what does your mind think about your future ahead, kind of a thing. We can also look at the chart from the perspective of the sun. What does your soul want your particular life in this particular planet to be moving forward with? So there are multiple perspectives in Vedic astrology. So it's like a mirror image. You can see each portion of your life from multiple perspectives. So in this regard, we will take a new topic called Aruda,
Okay.
and then we will try and detail how the charts of celebrities work.
So, like the previous time when we did
Yes.
the analysis of startup founders, right?
Yes.
We had a very definitive rule set
Yes.
where we said that if we have five rules
Yes.
which satisfy a certain criteria,
Yes.
like for example, your Vara Lord should be very strong. That was the
Yes.
first rule.
Yes.
Or you should have five or more planets which are placed well either in exaltation or in its own sign or in a
Yes.
friendly sign, right?
Yes.
So these were like a few rules that we
Yeah.
spoke about last time, and we analyzed chart and we
Yes.
saw that how it is contributing. So are there rules similar uh, to that where we can see what triggers a person to have that sort of a massive fan following?
Yes, yes. So the fifth house is the house of what you call fan following, right? So we'll try and detail this particular fifth house from a few more perspectives, and then we'll try and explain this particular phenomenon.
So can you maybe explain a little more about the concept, Anand, and
Yes.
how it applies to Amitabh Bachchan? We've taken Amitabh Bachchan as an example here.
Yes, yes.
So how does this Aruda Lagna apply? If
Yes.
you can give us brief
So
description.
there are many celebrities, and we are talking here about a few examples, three or four celebrities, where the fans are crazy. There is a frenzy for that particular celebrity. So here, this is Lagna. So Lagna means you, your intelligence, your personality, and those kind of things. So we talked about different perspectives, like Lagna, Sun, and Moon.
Right.
Perspective from Lagna, Sun, and Moon. Similarly, there is a perspective where Lagna means you. So
The
you
body.
see the chart, the body, the personality, your intelligence. So you see the chart from that particular perspective.
Okay.
Now, there is something called Arudha Lagna. Arudha Lagna means what others perceive of you. So you shift the complete reference from you to what others perceive of you, and then start looking at the chart. So this is Arudha Lagna. So if you see Amitabh Bachchan, and this is what people perceive of Amitabh Bachchan. He's a celebrity, he's a film actor, and those kind of things. Now so you can see the chart from this perspective, you can see the chart from this perspective as well. So it's a different dimensional kind of an approach to look at the chart.
Right.
Now, there are many people who do many things to create an image, right? So, for example, if I am in the class and I want to show off that I'm intelligent, I will sort of take up differential equation so that at least some people think that I'm intelligent.
Right.
So, what do you do to create an image? So that is another perspective where it's again a different kind of an Arudha.
Okay.
So for example, what does Amitabh Bachchan does? He does acting, right? So from that perspective, you again look at the chart.
Okay.
Now, when you do something to create an image, it is perceived either positively, negatively, or neutral by the public.
Okay.
Yes. So when you do something to create an image, how do others perceive of your actions to create an image?
Okay.
So again, you can look at the chart from that particular kind of a perspective. So in addition to Lagna, Moon, Sun, and various Lagnas that we can look at the chart, there are these four important dimensions where you can look at the chart.
Okay.
So one is Lagna, and
Right.
what do others perceive of you, and what do you do to create an image? How do others perceive how you create an image.
Got it.
So there are different dimensions in which you
Right.
can look at the chart.
So these are the four, like how we had 5 rules last time.
Yes.
These are the 5 different perspectives that we need to
Yes.
look from to
find out a celebrity's status. Yeah.
Okay.
In addition to the pointers that we discussed last
Right.
time.
So let's talk about Amitabh Bachchan's chart itself.
Yes.
So can we start from Aruda Lagna and then give some examples,
Yes.
or how would you want to go about explaining the
Yes.
chart?
So before we start, again we are using Jagannatha Hora and developed by Sri P.V.R. Narasimha Rao. So we should definitely give credits to this great man. And then from a timing perspective, there are various timings available for celebrities in the internet. So we have taken a timing where a little bit of rectification is done from our side and what we think is reasonably correct from that point of view. So if you see Amitabh Bachchan's chart, he's basically a Swati Nakshatra. So the Swati Nakshatra primarily talks about, airy sign and, creative person in the 7th house and those kind of things. So that is the prime thing. So in this case, we notice that AL is the Aruda Lagna, right? So AL is the Aruda Lagna. The charts here that we need to see is, one is Rashi, one is Dashamsha, and another chart called Saptamsha.
Okay.
The Saptamsha is the
Fifth house.
blown up. Yeah.
Right.
So we see these 3 particular charts, and the yogas that we need to figure out from Aruda Lagna as a reference is like Aruda Lagna can be either Vargotama,
Okay.
that is in Rashi and Dashamsha. Aruda Lagna's Lord could be either exalted or in own house. There could be Dharmakarma Raja Yogas from the reference of Aruda Lagna.
Okay.
So these 3 are the prime considerations from
We need to look at.
Yes. 4th thing is the 5th house, because the 5th house is the house of the public,
Right.
your followers, your celebrity status and those kind of things. So 5th house or its lord should be reasonably strong.
Okay.
So in this case, from the Rashi chart, we figure out that there is a Saturn which is retrograde, which is sitting in the Aruda Lagna. So Saturn talks about masses, right? And Moon talks about celebrity status. So both these planets in the chart has to be reasonably strong.
Okay.
So in most of the celebrities in the Dashamsha chart, there will be a aspect or a conjunction of Saturn and Moon.
Okay.
In the Dashamsha chart.
Okay.
So in this case, if you look, there is a aspect of Saturn and Moon here.
Right.
In the Dashamsha chart, in Amitabh Bachchan's chart. If you look at Aruda Lagna, from the Aruda Lagna, the 5th house, it is retrograde Mercury and it's in its own house.
Right.
So it's a clear-cut case wherein the 5th house is reasonably strong
Right.
from the other's point of view.
And
So-
it's Mercury is exalted here.
Yes, so it's a fantastic case for a celebrity kind of a status. So similarly, when you see the Dashamsha chart, you see the 5th lord is again in the Lagna.
Right.
When you make Aruda Lagna as the reference point, the 5th lord is in the Lagna, and this Mercury is Vargotama in terms of Rashi and Navamsha.
Navamsha.
So Mercury is pretty strong in this particular chart.
Right.
So from that perspective, there are 3 conditions which are sort of met from this chart's perspective, which indicates that others' perception
Of
of
his-
your status is in very high level.
Okay. Got it. So this is how you correlate the AL in 2 different charts, and then you see the 5th house, which
Yes.
is Mercury, and you see that Mercury is in AL here also.
Yes.
So that is why he is having this.
Yes. So another
status.
2 things. One is the Aruda of the 5th house. It's getting a little technical. The Aruda of the 5th house is called A5.
Okay.
So A5 is along with Mercury here.
Okay.
So it indicates a very exalted state in terms of celebrity level.
Okay.
So the fans could be crying, schizophrenia, and those
Right.
kind of things. Frenzy and those kind of things is clearly exhibited in this particular chart.
Okay.
So along with the other pointers, you have 6 planets exalted or in own house here.
Right.
The Vara Lord is pretty strong here, and Dasha operating when he started his career was
Very
fantastic.
strong.
So all those criteria are met.
Met.
In
In
addition to
addition-
that, these criteria, another point here is there is a Dharma Karma Raja Yoga from the Aruda Lagna's reference point of view.
Okay.
So if you see from AL, where Saturn is there, you have the 4th and the 5th Lord.
Right.
conjunct in the fifth house.
Okay.
Fifth house of celebrity fame and those
Right.
kind of things.
Okay. Okay, so now let's take the second celebrity, Michael
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and let's go.
Yes. So this personality is a sort of a case study in terms of the astrology point of view. He's got 9 planets either in the own house or exalted. So
Okay.
there are only 9 planets, and all the 9 planets are either exalted or in the own house. So it's a fantastic case study. But there are malefic conjunctions for certain planets. So that clearly defines his rise and fall in career, his movement into
Drugs.
substances and those
Right.
kind of things. But otherwise, he's got a fantastic chart in terms of thing. So here again, we note that the Aruda Lagna is here in Taurus, and then the fifth house from there is in the fourth house, which is the Lord is in the fourth house, which is again retrograde Mercury,
Right.
and it is again Vargotama.
Vargotama.
It is placed extremely strong in terms
Okay.
of the thing. Second thing is there is again a Dharmakarma Raja Yoga in terms of fourth and fifth
Fifth
Lord
Lord.
conjunction, again in the fourth house,
Right.
fourth house of home.
Right.
So again, giving him that kind of a sort of a reasonably big celebrity
Right.
status kind of
Status.
thing. We again talked about Moon and Saturn aspect, right? So again in the Dashamsha, there is a Moon and Saturn aspect. Saturn the masses, Moon the limelight. So
Right.
Moon has to be pretty strong, either in the own house or exalted, for you to get a certain amount of fame.
Okay.
Because moon reflects the light of the sun, and if moon is bright, automatically your brightness in the chart in front of others is sort of
Okay.
reasonably very strong.
Strong.
So again in the Dashamsha chart, the Arudha Lagna is in Taurus here. So again we see it is Vargottama.
Ah, okay.
Arudha Lagna is very strong.
Right.
That means the status that he commands in terms of
Very strong.
crazy fans is extremely strong.
Strong. Okay.
So same Raja Yogas apply in this particular
Chart as well.
Again the fifth lord in the
Right.
fourth house, and it's in the same house, and it's
Right.
Vargotama kind of a thing.
It's the same rule, right? Because AL is Vargotama.
Yes.
The same applies
And
to.
same planets are also situated
Yes,
here.
yes.
Next thing, you can also look at for all these celebrities, you can look at the ninth house, both in
Okay.
the Rashi and the Navamsha.
Okay.
So ninth house is the house of Bhagya, right?
Right.
So ninth house, if it has a exalted planet or a planet in its own house, that means Bhagya by itself is very strong.
Strong. Okay.
So reasonably strong. So you see here Mars in its own house in the ninth house.
Right.
So similarly here, Mars exalted in the ninth house. So it's a reasonably very strong chart from that
Right.
perspective.
So this is from AL perspective, Mars
Yes,
exalted.
you
in
change the
ninth house.
perspective from Lagna. So
Right.
there are various perspectives like Bhavachalit,
Right.
you have Lagna, Moon, Sun. So you change the perspective to Lagna, see either from Lagna or the
Or-
seventh house.
Right.
Seventh house is the house of public
Others.
domain.
Ah.
And then take that reference and then check all the
Okay.
particular yogas and then
Right.
exaltations and all that.
Okay, so now let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, who joined back Man U again.
Yes.
So a lot of people were talking about him joining back. So how does his chart play out in terms of?
Yes. So we don't need to talk about his celebrity status. Number one in Facebook, Instagram, and all that in terms of fan following. So again, we talked about this rule, right? Saturn Moon conjunction. Same. There's the third chart which has the same sort of conjunction. Masses from your
Fame.
and limelight and those kind of things, and it's in a beautiful kind of a flavor here. Again, in terms of Aruda Lagna, Moon is in its
Exalted,
own house.
own house.
There is a beautiful Gajakesari Yoga in the Aruda Lagna. So Moon and Jupiter here, and that sort of brings in that beautiful flavor in terms of the exaltation or Moon in the own house kind of a thing.
Right.
We have again Aruda Lagna is Vargottama for this particular chart. Again, so that brings additional strength for that particular chart kind of a thing. We again have a Dharma Karma Raja Yoga from the reference of Aruda Lagna, that is fourth lord and the fifth lord in the ninth house of Bhagya.
Right.
So that is Venus and Mars in the ninth house of Bhagya. That again brings in a beautiful flavor in terms of Dharma Karma Raja Yoga. So in terms of chart status, it is again a fantastic chart in terms of crazy fans and fans
Right.
getting frenzy kind of a thing.
So the last chart that we are going to talk about now is Rajinikanth. Rajinikanth has such a cult or a celebrity status in India, where once there's a story that Jayalalitha was passing by in Chennai, and the cops had stopped Rajinikanth, for to let Jayalalitha pass. Rajinikanth just came out of the car, and he attracted so many people that Jayalalitha was stuck there for the next 8 hours. So that is the sort of celebrity status that he commands. So let's see how the planets support this celebrity status for Rajinikanth.
Yes. So again, we start with the basics. We'll try and conclude this with the basics. Five or more planets in own house or exaltation. Vara Lord reasonably strong in the chart. So here, Mars. Vara Lord, it is exalted. It's reasonably very strong in the chart. Dasha operating, his Dasha Rahu Dasha started when he started his career kind of a thing. Again, extremely strong kind of a thing. 6 planets exalted. So those are the basics which come into this particular chart kind of thing. In this case, if you notice, Aruda Lagna is Scorpio
with the sun.
With sun. So sun sort of placed in Aruda Lagna, and if you see Dashamsha, sun is exalted here. So automatically the status of Aruda Lagna is reasonably very very strong from that perspective. Again, if you see from Aruda Lagna, the 9th house is Moon, and Moon is with exalted Mars, forming a beautiful Chandramangala Yoga kind of a thing. 9th house of Bhagya, again Mars, again exalted. 9th Lord is again exalted, is a particular chart. Even in the, we know Rajni, so this particular combination, this Ketu Saturn combination, 2nd house of communication, so we know Rajnikant has a style and a particular format of communication. Not many can replicate that style of communication. Again, same Aruda Lagna in the Dashamsha, again with Ketu and Mercury. Mercury, the planet of communication. Ketu is that difference and the dispersal of style kind of a thing. So from that perspective,
there's a Saturn Moon.
Again, the Saturn Moon conjunction here. It's perfectly aspect here, perfectly indicating that style. If you look at the 5th house, 5th house is in the Lagna.
Right. Mercury is in the
Yes, and Mercury is actually Vargotama in Rashi and Navamsha. So which gives that a particular kind of a very strong status for a Rajinikanth's style.
So I hope you got a sense of how Aruda Lagnas work. It's a slightly technical topic that can essentially help you, understand what others perceive of you. And this is actually a very broad topic as well, but we've tried to take 4 or 5 points and try to make it very concise. Like, for example, Saturn Moon being there in the Dasamsha, right? So that is one criteria for huge success, or like in terms of attracting large masses. Or for the 5th house, how is the 5th house placed from the perspective of the Aruda Lagna as well? If you would like to know whether you have such a celebrity status or what is the fame indicated in your chart, do log on to Jothishi.com and we can help. Thank you.